Hi, third graders. I don't even know if you remember where we left off, but the last time I saw you, we were in the middle of the Purim story. We were having a party, and if you recall the story, there was King Achashverosh, there was Mordecai, there was his sister Esther, and then Queen Vashti, and the man named Haman, which you can show me right now what you're supposed to do when you hear that name. Make a lot of noise with your feet and your hands. See what you can remember. Do you remember how King Achashverosh had a huge party and everyone was celebrating, and he wanted his queen, Queen Vashti, to dance for him and all the party participants, and she didn't want to, so she left. And then King Achashverosh decided he needed a new queen. And he eventually chose Mordecai's sister, Esther, to be his queen. Esther was Jewish. She was one of the ancient Hebrew people. And additionally, King Achashverosh had his council, his men, and the time came when he had to choose a new right-hand man, councilman, and he chose Haman. And Haman was not really such an upright kind of guy. He wanted power. He was greedy. He ultimately wanted to take over the throne. And most importantly, he wanted to demand that people respected him. And the way in which he got this, I don't remember if I told you this part, is that he would love to ride around Shushan, the town where they lived, and he'd ride on his horse or his elephant, and he would say, "Bow down to me, bow down to Haman. I am the king's favorite. I help him with everything. I am his one true councilman. Bow down to me." And as he did this, one day he came in front of Esther's brother Mordecai. And Esther's brother Mordecai looked up at him and said, "I'm not going to bow down to you. You're not a god. You're not a superior being. You're a human. We're the same. We're equals. I do not bow down to anybody but except for my own God, whom I worship." And Haman was furious. "How dare you not bow down to me? My king will hear about this." So he went home that night and he told the king a little bit of a lie, a big lie actually. He didn't say, "King Achashverosh, there was a man who wouldn't bow down to me." No, what he told the king was that the Hebrew people didn't respect him and wouldn't bow down to him. And if they wouldn't bow down to him, Haman, then they wouldn't bow down before the king. And if they wouldn't bow down before the king, they wouldn't respect anything that the king did. So Haman made it so that the Hebrew people were seen as people who disrespect their laws, the king's laws. So the king, Achashverosh, put out a decree that on a certain date in the springtime, that all the Hebrew people would die before the sword of all the Persian army and the king's men. Mordecai heard this. And I told you that he met with Esther every Friday night in Shabbat. They came to the gates of the palace and they would meet. And he went to Esther that night on the next Shabbat and he said, "Esther, you have got to save the Hebrew people. It has to be you. Only King Achashverosh will listen to you. He's not going to listen to me. You have to tell him." And Esther said, "I can't tell him. I'm not even allowed to see him unless he calls on me. I can't just go walk up to him and tell him to erase the decree he put out to destroy the Hebrew people." And Mordecai said, "You have to. You have to do it. You have to be brave and you have to do it." So Esther decided she was going to do it, but she formulated a plan first. She thought, "I will make the king a beautiful Shabbos dinner, and then I will warm him up with lots of compliments, and I will talk to him." So Esther got her best, most beautiful clothing on, all of the jewelry that the king gave to her, her most beautiful clothing, her silks in bright fuchsia and gold. She adorned herself. And then she walked straight up to the palace, out of her chambers, and into the area where the king's throne was. And there were guards there. The first set of guards, there were actually 7 sets of guards she had to go through. And the first set of guards said, "What are you doing? You can't go see the king without him asking for you. Go ahead, we'll let you through, but it'll be the death of you." And she marched through. She came to the second set of guards, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. On the 7th set of guards, they laughed in her face and said, "Are you crazy? He's gonna chop off your head. You can't just go see the king." But Esther said, "I must. I have to at least try and save my people and my brother." So in she went. King Ahasuerus, and Haman was sitting next to him. King Ahasuerus said, "What are you doing here?" But Esther removed the veil from her face, smiled her most beautiful smile, and King Ahasuerus just melted when he saw her beauty. And she said to him, "I would like to invite you and Haman to dinner in my chambers Friday night for Shabbat. Please come." Well, the king accepted, of course, and Haman accepted, of course. And that night Haman went home, and he was bragging to his wife, "I get to have dinner with the king and his queen alone in the queen's chambers. I can't believe it. I am so lucky." I will stop there for now. I will be back soon to tell you more.